What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. There's no time to waste, there's so much to cover today. I've got 12 reviews on 12 championship games. I have got over 21 predictions as well. 9 Premier League games and all 12 championship games as well. That's me assuming that Coventry and Sheffield Utd will be going ahead with problems of the CBS Arena. But that is a lot to cover. So what I'm going to do first, on the left hand side of the screen, are going to be my Premier League predictions for midweek. We are missing one game, which is Arsenal against Man City, because Arsenal have to play against PSV in their Europa League group stage game since it was postponed originally. That is why that game's not taking place. But these are the rest of the games. Make sure you predict your Premier League games in the comments down below, alongside with our championship predictions, which we'll be predicting just that later on after my review. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Please do hit the subscribe button. It does really help the growth of this channel too. And please share the channel as well. That really helps too. But without any further ado, let's start reviewing what on earth happened in this weekend's games. Let's cover Luton and QPR first. Luton continue with their brilliant run, unbeaten run at this moment of time, and they end QPR's very good unbeaten run, which was a streak that was actually suggesting that they were onto something. You know, that's 3 wins in a row for QPR, but that has been halted by this Luton Town side. And I've got to say, one player who's really come to his own this season is Carlton Morris. He was involved with the assist for Elijah Adebayo's goal. In terms of the second goal to make it 2-0, it was an own goal, a bit of an unfortunate situation with a cross coming in and Jimmy Dunn tucking it into his own net there. Even Horvath, unfortunately for him, you know, there was a shot coming in, he gets deflected off of him, making it 2-1. But Luke Freeman against his former club, 1 minute later, makes it 3-1 and game over. It was a really impressive performance by Luton Town there. You may see from stats, 16 shots to 11, 3 shots to 4, 6 off target to 5. You can see with those 3 shots on target, you got your 3 goals. So one being that Luton Town were extremely clinical when they needed to be, and that is going to be a big asset for Luton Town going forward. Luton with this win puts them in 7th place. QPR fall down to 4th place, but still looking relatively comfortable within the top 6. I'll be intrigued to see how both will react with their midweek game. The other early game, we saw a Yorkshire derby between Rotherham and Huddersfield, and Rotherham pick up their first win after new manager Matt Taylor with a 2-1 victory over Huddersfield. Was it deserved? I think in the end, slightly yes. You could see Connor Washington got the opening goal, Dan Barlaser getting the assist, but 4 minutes later, Danny Ward getting an equaliser, and Huddersfield were denied a second goal from Jordan Rhodes being ruled out for offside. But the third goal was going to be really crucial. I felt if any team were going to go ahead, it would have been more likely to be them to pick up the win. And it was Georgie Kelly who was the ultimate impact sub. As you can see here, 58th minute, he gets subbed on for Tom Eaves. 3 minutes later, he's on the score sheet in the 61st minute with Richard Wood getting the assist to make it 2-1. And ultimately, Rotherham did what they can to hold on, and they did so very well to make it 2-1 to the home team. You can see that in the table puts them on 18 points, their first 3 points under Matt Taylor to regurgitate that. For Huddersfield, they are still on 11 points with 13 games being played. Still not out of the wilderness in terms of the bottom 3 at the moment. They're only 3 points behind Hull City, where right now Hull really don't look like they're going to win anytime soon. Rotherham, this will be a really good win for them, and likewise with all of these teams in the Championship, I'll be very intrigued to see how they get on in their midweek games. Millwall are going through a really good run of form right now, and the contrast could be said for Bristol City. Millwall, this is their 2nd win in a row and unbeaten in 3 games, and actually I believe this is only their 2nd away win they've picked up all season, Millwall. So getting wins on the road is not common for this Millwall team. For Bristol City, they've gone quite a decline. You know, there was only like a little moment that I was speaking about them potentially, you know, being right in terms of the top 8. They were in the top 6 for quite a number of games. But now they've plummeted in a big way. Only 1 win in their last, I believe, 8 games, which is not great at all. I am having a little bit of a concern of Bristol City moving forward, defensively at least. Tom Bradshaw taking the lead, it was O'Leary in goal, and definitely I remember O'Leary gifting Zian Fleming's goal. It could have even been worse if Benakofobe scored his penalty, but they do miss the penalty with O'Leary saving the penalty with a small bit of redemption, but it was a really poor mistake by O'Leary to lead to the winning goal from Zian Fleming. I do think Bristol City need to try and fix something defensively, because I definitely do think on their day they can score plenty of goals, but defensively that's been a huge problem for them so far. You can see they've conceded 24 goals. I mean, I can only see Hull conceding more goals than what Bristol City have conceded so far this season, and that has been a really big problem. Millwall, they're up to 11. Zian Fleming has really contributed to some really important goals for Millwall quite recently. He could turn out to be a very important player for Millwall this season, and honestly, I'm really excited to see how he gets on very, very soon. This is a statement win if I've not saw one from Burnley Football Club. They smashed in-form Swansea by 4-0. I mean, this was an in-form Swansea team. Look at that flawless run of games, and then suddenly crash and burn with a 4-0 defeat. And this win for Burnley, an emphatic win I should exaggerate on, because it puts Burnley in the top of the Championship with only 1 defeat so far this season, joint on points with Sheffield United. So they were commanded to a 3-goal lead before half-time. Coutinho and Jay Rodriguez getting the first couple of goals there, and then Zauri managing to get the third just before half-time, and I think that definitely killed Swansea's chances. Then a very early second half goal for Jay Rodriguez, his second of the game, killed chances for Swansea. Joel Pirro getting sent off for supposedly a stamp, which, you know, is just not acceptable. It's a straight red card, and definitely is going to make things very difficult for Swansea going forward when they've lost their top goal scorer in an instant like that as well. So lack of discipline there, and you can see Burnley really did dictate a lot of the game. You can see slightly more possession. You can see Swansea actually edged the first half, but then Burnley did very, very well to take the ball away from them and actually frustrate them. 10 shots to 6. Only 1 shot on target for Swansea is the damning stat for me. So they didn't ask enough questions. Burnley took advantage. Swansea still in the mix in terms of the top 6 following that really good, impressive form there. But this is a very minor setback, especially with Joel Pirro now getting suspended. This is a very crucial win for Coventry. I'm saying this now. It's their first away win of the season. They beat Cardiff by 1-0. It felt like a game that it really could go on to either one of these teams. I think they were pretty equal for most of the game. Coventry basically hit Cardiff on the break a couple of times, and that was how they got their 2 best chances of the game. Gyökeres missed a chance from about 4 yards out, which I can't believe he even missed from that range. But he did redeem himself in the end, managing to score his goal, which was a counter-attacking goal. Cardiff did have a goal disallowed in pretty controversial circumstances, as there was a disagreement originally between the referee and the linesman of an offside call, but it was decided that the goal was disallowed for Cardiff, so maybe Cardiff were a bit hard done by for not getting at least a point in this game. But Coventry, I think, did all right. You know, they definitely played to their strengths very, very well. This second win for Coventry puts them on 10 points on 11 games and definitely makes things a little bit more rosy for them now. I definitely have a little bit more confidence in them that Coventry could potentially get out of this. I don't have every confidence, but definitely there is small progress being made. It's going to be a very difficult season for Coventry now. As with Cardiff, it is their first defeat in quite a while, with Mark Hudson kind of stepping in as interim manager at this moment of time. You can see Cardiff has some great form, but suddenly now, you know, from Cardiff being in the top of the table last week, they're now down to 18th place, which just goes to show how quickly, you know, a championship position can change with some really bad results. So Cardiff can definitely pick themselves up though, because I definitely think they've got enough options to potentially turn this around. It seems all doom and gloom for Middlesbrough right now. They lose to a Blackburn team who don't really pick up many points on the road, and it does feel very, very frustrating for them. They went down 2-0. Nelihan actually scoring a known goal against his former club, so a very unhappy return on his part. Sam Gallagher makes it 2-0. He absolutely rifled a tremendous effort past Steffen to make it 2-0. Duncan Watmore scores just before half-time, and you think, okay, maybe Middlesbrough could maybe go into the second half and potentially get something from this, but throughout that second half, you could see it was all Middlesbrough, but it was just very frustrating for them. They couldn't break Blackburn down. And I've got to say, I've been waiting for this for Blackburn to actually test themselves defensively and to kind of hold with 11 men behind the ball. I've not seen that enough and not efficiently enough for Blackburn, but they did so perfectly there. Although Kaminsky will definitely be getting the plaudits. He made an incredible save from about 2 yards out. I mean, that save, sometimes defies the laws of physics, and when you've got a goalkeeper that can pull that off, any team has a chance to potentially gain a good result. So it's a good win for Blackburn, and actually they continue their streak of a win-loss train, and it actually stretches to 10 games actually. So if we're being clever, we should predict a defeat for Blackburn next, although they are at home, where Blackburn, if I put the home table at the moment, they've got the third best home record in the league. So it's probably not going to be the wisest thing to do, but the Championship can also throw some surprises. Middlesbrough at this moment, as you can see, they are in the bottom three, and that is why it's completely doom and gloom for them at the moment. Still not found a manager so far. I'm really scared for them, honestly. They've definitely got a squad that's too good to be in this position, and they really do need to sort things out. Just need to go back to the basics in terms of controlling the games, not being too frustrated, and just taking chances. So it's as simple as that, and Middlesbrough definitely need to try and hit the reset button for this season. And the floodgates now starting to open for Preston, because now that's another 2 goals that they've conceded. Alex Neil gets a very positive return to Deepdale. He picks up a 2-0 win for his Stoke City side. Will Smallbone and Tyrese Campbell scoring within 8 minutes of each other, condemning Preston to another defeat. It's back-to-back defeats for Preston. Maybe you can argue that they felt quite fatigued from the midweek game, but regardless, Stoke came in, and I think Stoke actually did a really, really good job nullifying Preston's aerial threats, and in terms of their set-piece play, I think what was another clear example was that if they don't have their attacking players in good amount of form or potential, then Preston just never looked like scoring. And Stoke at this moment of time, because their form has improved, and I think performances have improved, and they're on a good momentum, you can see that Stoke are now starting to get more consistent results. They're nearly within the top half of the table, and with a good result midweek, it can definitely take them up there. So, good win for Stoke City there. Preston may need to try and think of a way just to try and get more goals going in, because right now, if they don't start scoring soon and they, continue to now start conceding goals, they'll only go one way, and that is just further down the table. The managerial bounce takes full effect for West Brom as they pick up a 2-0 away victory against Reading. Another rare home defeat for Reading. So from being completely flawless, you can see that it's only their second home defeat this season. So Reading on the whole at home have been really, really good, but West Brom really did want to come in and to try and get something there. You can see from right at the start of the game, they had a really good spell. Matt DeLitt scored 1 goal within that spell, and Garner Hickman had the game of his life, getting a goal and an assist, of course. And obviously there was a little bit of controversy. You may have heard the quote from Andy Carroll saying the guaranteed 3 points is no longer there since West Brom sacked their manager, and obviously that did turn out to be the case, and even West Brom tweeting that afterwards as well, which I think was quite funny as well. But in general, I think West Brom actually did well. You can see in the second half that Reading did, show more promise. And I think Lucas João, if he was, he just had an off day, really. I think a lot of their attacking players just weren't at it, unfortunately, like they would normally were. So I think Reading can easily move on from this. And Paul Ince wasn't there as well. I don't know it's COVID related, but he definitely had an illness. So both teams didn't have their first team managers there, so it was going to be very interesting to see, and I felt for me the more experienced team was going to go up on top, and I would arguably say West Brom is more experienced on paper than Reading's team. So I think that does make sense in the end, and I wouldn't have predicted that Paul Ince would have been now, unfortunately. So, good win for West Brom. It lifts them up a little bit, gives them a bit of a breathing space. I mean, only by 1 point, but it definitely stops them going into the bottom 3 now, and we'll see if West Brom can get a little bit of a springboard now. As for Reading, I don't think it's too much concerns. I mean, they're still in the top 6, but I think Luton, with how good their form's been at the moment, they're definitely going to have to watch out for them. Can I just say, the game of the Championship so far this season has to go to this game at Bramall Lane. I mean, I need to watch this back again and again and again to even digest what I witnessed. Sheffield United 3, Blackpool 3. We saw Blackpool already get involved in some thrilling 3-3 draws. For instance, their 3-3 draw with Burnley. But I think this trounces it, honestly. Sheffield United go into a very quick 2-0 lead. James McAtee and Ilman Ndiaye. But then Jerry Yates, who just suddenly turns into his good goal scoring form again, getting 2 goals in 12 minutes, makes it 2-2. And then in the second half, Kenneth Dougal for Blackpool, against all odds, it puts Blackpool 3-2 up in the 51st minute. Now, I definitely felt after that, we saw a lot of the Blackpool players really trying their best to disrupt Sheffield United's play, and hence why we saw Akita and Thompson getting 2 lots of yellow cards each. And that meant that Blackpool in the 81st minute were down to 9 men. And I thought this was going to be game over when Ryan Brewster won a penalty, but he misses the penalty in the 88th minute. And obviously with the fouls going in, it would have been a long amount of stoppage time. And unbelievable, in the 98th minute, Oliver Norwood scores to make it 3-3 to stop Sheffield United having 3 defeats in a row. It's incredible. And off the field, we saw Wes Fotheringham and Shane Lavery getting sent off. So that's a total of 4 red cards in this game and 6 goals and a penalty miss. That has got to be the best championship game I've seen so far this season. And there's been some real crackers as well. I really feel for Blackpool, Had they picked up this win, they definitely would have got in a much stronger position with 18 points already from 14 there. Sheffield United with this draw puts them on 25 points, but ultimately because Burnley won emphatically against Swansea, they are now no longer top of the championship. It's not just them, I think Norwich as well. They definitely got to really watch out now, because I definitely think teams are now wanting to compete. And I think they're just slowly but surely, cracking under the pressure, with some injury problems and stuff like that. But they need to find a way around it with their experience. And right now, I definitely think they're losing their bottles. So I think Sheffield United are going to be a bit careful moving forward. Blackpool, if they continue to be as spirited as they are, I think they'll be alright. But that's 3 really key players for Blackpool who are suspended. And they've got a really big game against Hull City as well. And I'm going to really struggle to predict what I think will happen in this game. Because honestly, I think now that Blackpool got those 3 players suspended, I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as it was originally. Going to the last 3 o'clock game, Sunderland pick up a 2-1 win over Wigan. This ends Sunderland's struggles in terms of them scoring goals. They actually went 1-0 down to former Sunderland striker Charlie Wyke getting the opening goal for Wigan. So that put them in a really bad position. But I've got to say, Dennis Churkin, the fullback, did brilliantly. Got the assist for Elliot Embleton's equaliser in the 54th minute, and even scored a goal on his own with Alex Pritchard linking in to make it 2-1. And ultimately, from that moment onwards, since Sunderland got their second goal there, it was pretty much them just wasting their time, and that is when the experience really came into play. It's another defeat for Wigan, and I think Wigan at the moment are showing just glimpses of inconsistency, and I definitely think they need to try and figure a way out of that. Sunderland, as you saw there, they've had 3 successive draws and then a loss there. So that's 4 games they actually will win this for. But now with that win they got there, it now puts them back into 9th place. And it only puts them within 2 points off the top 6. So things are definitely looking a little bit on the up for Sunderland right now. What a response we received from Watford from losing in a pretty embarrassing manner to Blackpool by 3-1. They followed that up with a very impressive 2-1 win over Norwich, where I was speaking about Sheffield United, how they're strong in form, but I did mention Norwich as well, because if you look here, Norwich are winless in their last 3. Their only victory coming up against Blackpool, which was a very narrow 1-0 win, where they could have arguably been fortunate to actually hold on to that win. Norwich looking like that they're kind of struggling right now. It looks like they got their act together when they had a poor start to the season. But now those same habits they had at the start of the season, it's looked like they're starting to creep up on them again. So Watford actually had the chance to take the lead. They missed a penalty with Imran Loser, so Tim Krul making the save. But 5 minutes after that, Imran Loser manages to correct his errors, score to make it 1-0, and Keenan Davis, 13 minutes later, makes it 2-0. Josh Sargent makes it very interesting. Look at that, the 45th minute, just before half-time. So you would have expected at this time to see a spell and like an onslaught of Norwich domination, which if you can look at the attack momentum here, you do kind of see that, but it's not like an attack momentum that's going to really make Watford crumble under the pressure. Watford had a lot more shots, and look at that. Only 2 shots on target for Norwich out of those 11 shots. That is a very, very poor amount of accuracy, which tells me that they were incredibly wasteful. 0 shots on target in that second half when Norwich needed to chase for the win. What's that all about? More possession, 5 shots, which equals to Watford there. They had 3 on target in that half as well, potentially hitting on the break. But how can Norwich have 0 shots on target when they're supposed to chase for a game? Now that is more concerning for me in itself. And Dean Smith needs to figure something out to make sure that Norwich just respond better from going behind. With Watford, it's a great win. It's a good comeback for them to have 2 defeats in a row with Bilic. Now with that win there, it puts them in 10th place. And if they can have a good, consistent run of form now, I think Watford could be okay. But it's clear Watford got a little bit of catching up to do. But I'll be interested to see if they can kick on from this now. And then finally, we've got to talk about Hull and Birmingham, where Hull are really struggling right now. You can see right here, with that 1 win in the middle that they had against Wigan in midweek, they have sandwiched 4 defeats within those 5 games. Birmingham, on the other hand, continue their pretty good form. Look at that, 3 wins in their last 5, only having 1 defeat that they managed to have in that period as well, which was against Middlesbrough. So Birmingham managed to score, and once again, a lot of missed penalties this weekend. You've noticed there. I can think of Loser, we had Brewster as well, and now Troy Deeney. But that penalty miss, luckily, didn't seem to really cost them. And there was a delay to kickoff because very similar amount of controversy that we saw in the DW between Wigan and Cardiff about the size of the goalposts. Hull had their goalposts 2 inches too high, and they were manually sawed down. And, you know, some people were joking that, you know, if Deeney, you know, shot with the original height of the goals, it would have gone in. But I don't personally think it would have, personally. But having said that, though, the 2 goals that they did score was from the penalty spot, 1 from Deeney, and then the other one for Junior Bakuno, with Taif Chong getting the assist. And I mentioned this already, but the signings for me have really given Birmingham a new sense of depth. And I've got to say, they've really proven me wrong, and I'm pleased for them, really. Birmingham are now in the top half of the table, which, all I can say, I'm sorry, but I really underestimated Birmingham this season. But Hull, on the other hand, I severely overestimated by the looks of things so far. They are only above Middlesbrough by 1 point, and if they have a bad result in midweek, they could find themselves back in the mires in terms of the bottom 3. Birmingham, I've got a little bit more excitement about, because I think they've got a proper squad in hand now if they've got that depth. So we'll see how far Birmingham can go, because it could be a season of surprises, as it always is in the Championship. So before I go through my midweek predictions, this is what the Championship table is looking like after this set of weekend's games. Burnley are now first place in the Championship for the first time this season. Sheffield United just behind. Norwich fall out of the top 2 entirely, with QPR and Blackburn still in the top 6, with Reading still there too. Luton closed the gap on that, Swansea falling back a little bit, Sunderland and Watford, Mill, Birmingham and Stoke recovering a little bit of ground there. In terms of the teams in danger, you're really still looking at the likes of Blackpool, West Brom, Hull, and in the bottom 3 you've still got Middlesbrough, Huddersfield and Coventry, but all 3 teams only separated by 3 points. It's looking very, very close this year. So finally, to end off my video today, on the left-hand side of the screen are my Championship predictions for midweek. Huddersfield Preston first. I'm going to squeak a win for Huddersfield, actually. Huddersfield have actually won 2 home games in a row. I think Preston are severely struggling with their form as of now, and I do think that Huddersfield can have enough within them to get a result. So yeah, I'll go for a 2-1 home victory for the Terriers. We've now got Norwich versus Luton. Now this is trickier, because Luton are doing very, very well with their run of form at this moment of time. And with Norwich, on the other hand, they've really, really struggled. So Norwich and Carrow Road tend to have a good result here and there, but as I said, Luton unbeaten in their last 6. I think I'm going to go for a draw, actually. I'll go for a 1-1 draw. It feels like a very typical Nathan Jones grind for a point sorts of game. So I'll go for a draw. Swansea versus Reading. Now, without Joel Piero. Oh, goodness me. I was thinking Swansea were going to win this one quite comfortably. But now they've not got Joel Pirro. That might be a blow for them. I'm actually going to still back Swansea, but only just for a 2-1 home victory based on Reading's poor away form. But if I'm wrong on this, I'm really going to kick myself. Blackburn versus Sunderland. Now, the pattern, as I did already mention, should go from a win and a loss. And because Blackburn won in the weekend, it should go for a defeat here. But the fact they are at Ewood Park, where they won their last 3 home games in a row, I'm actually going to break the chain. And I'm going to say Blackburn are actually going to get 2 consecutive wins. They'll go for a 2-1 victory to Blackburn. With Stoke and Rotherham, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Stoke win. I think Stoke are looking pretty confident with their form and momentum at the moment. I think away from home, Rotherham are still looking for their first win of the season. They've not got a very strong away record at all, so I think Stoke will capitalise on that. West Brom, Bristol City, I think we'll see some goals. I think West Brom, not really the best defensively yet, and of course Bristol City, this has been their biggest kryptonite, which is just conceding goals. So naturally I think we're going to get a goal fest. I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to West Brom. For Birmingham and Burnley, this is very tough to predict as well, because Birmingham doing well, Burnley only losing 1 game so far this season, and have definitely shown, you know, their very, very best that they could have shown, you know, against Swansea, and they can punish you if they score early. I'll go for a Burnley 2-1 away win, but it's open to anything really. I think Birmingham are capable of getting something. Blackpool Hull is very tricky. This is so tough for me to predict because the fact is Blackpool have lost 3 players to suspension from their 3-3 draw against Sheffield United, and 3 key players that they've lost as well. And Hull right now are really struggling with their form, which I don't see a win anytime soon, especially away from home. I'm going to give Blackpool the benefit of the doubt, you know. If Joey Yates is still available, he might get a couple of goals. So I'm going to say 3-0 Blackpool. Now Coventry, Sheffield United. This one took me a while to predict as well. I'm going to go for a Sheffield United narrow 1-0 away win, you know. I think Coventry's still bottom of the league. I think I'm still trying to find a bit of ground. It has that feeling to me that it's going to be very cagey, and it will either be a 0-0 or 1-0 to one of the teams. And I naturally think Sheffield United might get something. I think they may ride that late equaliser as a bit of positive momentum. Now you've got QPR and Cardiff. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw actually. Somebody just tells me they'll cancel each other out, so I'll go for a 1-1 draw. And I think same thing goes for Wigan and Middlesbrough, to be honest, because Wigan, you know, they've only won 1 home game so far this season. Their form's not been great. Middlesbrough, I mean, they've been absolutely atrocious away from home, Middlesbrough. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, therefore. And finally, Millwall, Watford. I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Watford, you know. I think it will be very competitive, but I think Watford might edge it. But I'm not underestimating the likes of Verbe, Bradshaw and Zian Fleming. They can definitely cause havoc, but I'm going to say Watford might turn up for this one. I'll go for a 2-1 away victory. So guys, that is my predictions and everything done for this review video today. If you guys enjoyed it, please give the video a like. It does tremendously help the channel. Please do hit that subscribe button if you've not done so. It does really help. And please share this channel too. That really helps as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw any of this video. As always, I'll see you guys very, very soon. Take care, everyone.